Have you ever had one of those days, where you're running around, answering emails, jumping between meetings, and at the end of it all, you feel like you got absolutely nothing important done? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to talk about how to escape that trap, that cult of busyness, by embracing something called slow productivity. And let's just start with a quick reality check, okay? A recent survey from Mercer found that a jaw-dropping 82% of employees are currently at risk of burnout. Think about that. That's more than 4 out of every 5 people feeling totally drained and overwhelmed by their job. So, this brings us to the big question, right? Why is this hustle culture that we've all been sold? Why is it failing us so badly? Let's get into it. First up, we need to really understand the beast we're dealing with. I like to call it the cult of busyness. And believe me, the price of admission is incredibly high. The cost of this cult is steep, and it hits everyone. Millennials, they're facing the highest rates of burnout, period. And it's not just young people. A whopping 70% of executives are actively thinking about quitting just to get a better sense of well-being. And the long-term damage? Well, it's grim. Research shows that working those punishingly long hours when you're young is directly linked to having worse health and even depression by the time you're 50. This is a crisis that stretches from the bottom of the ladder all the way to the top. Okay, so if we're all so busy, why doesn't it feel like we're getting better results? Well, that leads us to this really crucial idea, the trap of pseudo-productivity. This term comes from Professor Cal Newport, and it just perfectly nails the problem. Pseudo-productivity is basically when we mistake visible activity, firing off emails, being in back-to-back meetings, for actual meaningful work. We look busy, but we're not actually being effective. So just how bad is it? How distracted are we? Research shows that the average office worker switches between different apps and websites nearly 1,200 times a day. Let that sink in. 1,200 times every single day. And all of that frantic switching, all that pseudo-productivity, it comes with a huge cost. It can eat up to 40% of our potentially productive time. That means almost half of our workday can be lost just to the friction of trying to look busy. So why on earth does this happen? Well, unlike a factory worker who can point to a stack of things they made, knowledge work is often invisible. It's hard to measure progress, so we default to what we can see. Emails sent, hours logged, a calendar that's packed. We've started measuring effort instead of impact. Okay, enough with the problem. Let's pivot to the solution. It's time to talk about a slower and, frankly, a much smarter way to work. The whole idea of slow productivity is built on 3 really simple, but honestly profound principles. Number 1, do fewer things. Number 2, work at a natural pace. And number 3, obsess over quality. It's about shifting our focus from volume to value. This right here, this is the core mindset shift. The old way is all about measuring inputs. How many hours did you work? How many emails did you send? The slow way cares only about outputs. What problems did you solve? What value did you create? What meaningful projects did you actually finish? It completely rewires how we think about what a good day at work really is. Now, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? Let's get into some real practical strategies. A fantastic place to start is the Pareto principle. You've probably heard of it as the 80-20 rule. The basic idea is that about 80% of your meaningful results come from just 20% of your efforts. The secret isn't just to work less, it's to get really good at identifying that high-impact 20%, the vital few, and pouring your energy there while learning to ignore the trivial many. And how do you protect that vital 20% of your time? By learning to say no. This isn't about being difficult or unhelpful. It's about being strategic. You have to remember, every time you say yes to a low-value request, you're implicitly saying no to the deep, focused work that actually moves the needle. So here's a powerful little exercise you can try this week. Make a not-to-do list. Step 1, just write down all your current tasks and commitments. Step 2, be ruthless. Identify the low-impact, trivial many. And finally, just pick one of those things to strategically get rid of or minimize this week. It's about addition by subtraction. And please, let's make a pact to stop multitasking. The science on this is crystal clear. Only about 2% of the population can actually do it well. For the other 98% of us, it's just a recipe for doing several things poorly all at the same time. Focus on one thing. But does any of this actually work in the real world? Oh, you bet it does. Let's look at maybe the most compelling evidence out there right now: the rise of the 4-day workweek. The results from the world's largest trial, which happened in the UK, are just astounding. Companies that switched to a 4-day week saw sick days plummet by 65%, staff turnover dropped by 57%, and get this, the company's revenue actually went up. Okay, but was that just a temporary boost? Not even close. A full year after the trial ended, a massive 92% of the companies were still using the 4-day schedule. This wasn't a fluke. It's a sustainable, better way to work. And the personal benefits for employees were just profound. Over 2/3 of them said they felt less burned out, and a huge majority found it way easier to balance their work with their life and family. It's a win for the company, and it's a massive win for its people. And this really reveals the magic behind the 4-day week. It's not about cramming 5 days of frantic work into 4. It's that the compressed schedule forces everyone to cut out the pseudo-productivity, to eliminate the fluff, and focus only on what truly matters. It proves that when you constrain time, you don't lose output, you gain focus, and you eliminate waste. And this brings us to what might be the most radical idea of all. We've been taught our whole lives that rest is something you earn. It's a reward for hard work. Slow productivity completely flips that script. Rest isn't the prize you get for doing great work. It's the non-negotiable prerequisite you need to do it in the first place. So I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. In a world that is completely obsessed with doing more, what if the most productive thing you can do today is less?